Hello ladies and gentlemen, s14 here. So today I thought I'd do a crafting kind of video, because I keep getting questions about like rings, amulets, like offensive slots generally, which are more difficult to craft than say boots, but we'll get there. So I find the best way in the end game basically is to just spam mobiles on tier 12 and you will get something useful like that, which is decent. All damage is exactly the same as cold damage, physical damage, whatever, so that's a fine modifier to have on an amulet. Personally I think that one is better, but we'll see. I'll have a mess around and see if I can help anyone out. So firstly let's get rid of all that. So let's go with something awkward. So we've got these boots here. So there's 2 defensive mods on there. I think impairments, utility, we'll soon find out. So obviously the movement speed we want to keep. So we're going to roll off the defensive mods because we do want, well in this case we want intellect on there. So we're going to chaotic roll defense, and then we got cold res, which is fine. Obviously we got the dodge on there, which we don't want. So because we've only got 1 mod on there now, we're going to focus reroll because we want life. And the reason you do this, guys, is because crafting on the enchanter costs an incredible amount of gold, especially to hit something decent that you actually want. So you really don't want to be doing that if you can help it. These mats they rain from the sky. This costs absolutely nothing. Right, so we got our life on there again. Nice. So for our dodge roll now, we'd want to chaotic roll that off. Never lucky. Let's try again. So we got our own. So we got fort gen, which is terrible. And we got impairment reduction, which is terrible. In fairness, these couldn't really be any worse. So because we're locked on like 3 utility mods, which obviously would affect our GA movement speed, which is what we want to keep, we're going to have to lock this mod to do anything further with this, which does mean that the final crafting's a little bit more RNG because you can't finalize the one roll that you want, but it's fine because realistically the mod that we want, so now that we've locked that mod, that cannot be changed unless we go to the enchanter, which obviously we don't want to change GA move speed on boots. So now we're going to go for our utility rolls, and we're going to chaotic roll fort gen and impairment off. So maximum life is pretty tasty, that will do. So realistically what we would like now is to roll off and get a defensive mod, which we're quite likely to get. That's what I'm saying. We're quite likely to get. So there we go. So we got all res, which would do. Sorry, not all res, physical res, which would be fine. If you wanted to stop there, you could. So that's perfectly usable. It's high in, high life. Again, because of the way this is now rolled, if you did want to re-roll the life, if you had low life, you could just use defense and focus re-roll and just keep re-rolling until you get the life you want. You're not going to run out of these. So, you know, I wouldn't go for like perfect because it just takes forever. Same with the skill. If you get really low int on there, you could re-roll it. I actually wouldn't because these are particularly useful and you do go through quite a lot of them on your amulet. Unless it was super low, because you're more likely to re-roll something better. So again, if we wanted to mess around with this resistance now, depending on how many of these you have, how much you need, a certain resistance, or if you want to try for all res, which would be probably the best. So I generally prefer fire or poison. If I hit either of those, I would stop. So there, we've got a perfectly good set of boots then. So if you were gearing up, that is a really strong item that you would need multiple GAs to beat. So happy days, right? That's boots done. So that's an easy slot, but it was quite tricky. So let's try for something else. What would we like to craft? Let's try something awkward. Let's make this terrible. So let's just add and then upgrade it. Okay, so that's terrible. So we got life on here, which is awful, which obviously we don't want. So in a perfect world, for most builds you would want crit strike on there, which is actually fine because we have an open slot on this. So we're going to chaotic roll that off. We got movement speed. Bearing in mind that the more aggressive mods you have on there, we have 3 currently, the less likely it is to roll one. So it can take a little while. But we got damage over time. That's horrendous, but it doesn't matter. So because we have the int, we're going to focus reroll that. And we're aiming to get plus all skills, which is what most builds are going to be after. There is very few builds that would not want +4 to all skills over a small amount of your main stat. However, it's not the easiest thing to roll. So this could take a little while. Oh, never mind. Easy game. And then we've made a really nice amulet. So we would go over to the enchanter to finish that off. And then we would select the one mod that we do not want. And then find something better. Which is going to be neither of those. So if you're not sure what you can roll, you can look, see. Obviously there's a pretty long list of stuff that you could get. So this part can be a little bit expensive. I would generally pick 1 or 2 that you're after. So say attack speed is also fine. And then you can just go until you run out of coin basically. I wouldn't stress too much about it because realistically these items are probably not going to be something you keep forever. They're just going to be a placeholder until you get something a little bit better. But let's go crit strike multi and we'll give this a couple more rolls, see if we can beat it. No, I'm happy with that. So we got a really decent amulet. So we got sort of lowish middle range crit strike damage, huge vulnerable damage, high crit, and 2+ all skills, which when you masterwork this up will be 3, and then you masterwork crit it and it's 4. And as you can see with my amulet to this one, not vastly different to be honest. It would be whether crit strike's that great for you. Obviously I've got a GA crit on mine. This would probably be better overall, but we'll leave that one there. So for rings, generally you would want to roll off your main stat for 4 aggressive stats, but it kind of depends what point in the game you're at. Obviously if you're like super in game and you've actually got like really nice plus int and stuff like where so intellect changes its value, so because I have percentage in, it changes its value and it becomes more valuable. But when you're trying to hit breakpoints and trying to max your crit, blah blah blah, basically what you would do is the same process that we were doing before. So your resource gen, most of these are pretty self-explanatory honestly. So you basically want to chaotic reroll that off. And then you've got 2 defensive mods on there then. So you'd chaotic roll and chaotic roll. And there you've got 3 aggressive mods. That's still open to crafting if you wanted to. So you could either roll the int off into another aggressive mod if you wanted to. Or you could re-roll one of those 2 if they were no good to you. So say you wanted attack speed, crit damage, you would just re-roll off the shadow damage. So you can make really, really nice items, and it costs very little gold, honestly. And it's pretty hard to brick these, honestly. But yeah, so my background is Path of Exile, so this crafting is not quite as crazy as what I'm used to, honestly. But yeah, I hope that helped, guys. I mean, making something like that is that's better than most of the items anyone's wearing in the game, honestly. And it took us a couple of minutes. So hopefully this has helped you to craft your great. I mean, it's honestly easier when you get like 2 GAs like that, because there's less to re-roll and mess about with. It's more awkward when there's loads of like random mods on there and you're in your 1 GA, and then you roll like mods that you don't want, like here where we were stuck with our like 2 or 3 utility mods, including one that we wanted. But it's still perfectly doable. It just takes a bit more time and messing about with it. But if you've got any questions, guys, just let me know, as always. But cheers anyway. I'll catch you again on the flip side.